Kate, you can come in.
Come on, Kate. I know where the 6'4" guy goes. Well, I don't go in the middle, Scott Hughes it. Full ball. Yeah, good.
Okay, we all set? All right, good morning, everyone, and welcome to one of the oldest buildings in Erie County, the Schenck House, which has been converted into a Parks Department museum and little meeting center for our team and others as we use American Rescue Plan dollars to help save, as I said, one of the oldest buildings, a building that at this point is approximately 200 years old from what would have been eventual loss. We are on the grounds of the Grover Cleveland Golf Course, which is a very historic site in its own because in 1912 the United States Open was held here when it was the Country Club of Buffalo. And then as you will see, because there are maps, or not maps, there's a timeline description on the wall here now. Eventually this was transferred to the city of Buffalo from the Country Club of Buffalo, which was eventually transferred to Erie County and has been in Erie County's possession for more than 50 years. I'm pleased to be joined by our Parks Commissioner, Troy Schinzel, as well as our Deputy Commissioner, Jimbo McDonald, our former Deputy Commissioner in the Department of Parks, Kate Hilliman, who is still in county government, just in a different role at this point, but she played an instrumental role in making what you see here happen. We're also joined by our county historian, Doug Kohler, who helped obtain some of the information that you see on the walls here, as well as Scott Alexander Wood, who did the design of the timeline, which really came out wonderfully. This is the 100th anniversary of the first parks being acquired as part of the Erie County Parks Commission. We have a wonderful, wonderful set of parks in our community. They are our jewels. And 100 years ago, or actually a little more than 100 years ago, 101 years ago, Erie County government set up the Erie County Parks Commission at that time to basically create parks all across our community. And this year is the 100th anniversary of really the opening of the first park. And we talk about the heritage parks, which are Chestnut Ridge Park, Como Lake Park, Ellicott Creek Park, Emery Park, Akron Falls Park. I knew I was missing one. But we have so many other parks that we've acquired through the years and added on to this incredible inventory of parkland that we have. But we never really had a location to kind of celebrate our parks. Well, we do now. We do now here in the Schenck House. I'll let Doug talk a little bit more about the history of this building, but I want to let everybody know that this is your tax dollars at work, saving one of the most historic structures that exists in Erie County, one of the oldest and maybe the oldest stone structure that was a farmhouse, but certainly in the city of Buffalo is the oldest. When we look at the history of our community and our county, it was used for many years by the Parks Department, but it was in really bad shape, very bad shape, and it was at risk of having to be torn down because of safety issues. Well, using funds that we were able to obtain from the American Rescue Plan and some other county dollars, we were able to save it. And then we realized, well, we have to do something with it other than just saving the house. And we have these incredible assets in the Parks Department, and so we turned it into a mini museum that can also be used for meetings and other types of things in county government, but will be open to the public so they can actually see the history of our parks, which are significant. The history is very significant. Just like this house is significant, the history of our parks are significant. We're still learning things about the parks, especially with the creation of the parks approximately 100 years ago. As the commissioner and I were talking about, the beautiful casino that you see at Chestnut Ridge is not the original casino. It's actually the second one that was built after the first one burned down. So the first one, which was primarily wood, was replaced by one that was primarily stone. I guess you learn that when a building burns down. But it's just something that's part of our past, part of our history, and I'm very pleased that we're able to save the Schenck House and turn it into this museum of parks history as we celebrate 101 years since the creation of the Erie County Parks Commission, 100 years since really the parks were first opened to the public. I'm going to turn it over to our Commissioner, Troy Schinzel, to talk a little bit more about this, but I want to thank him and his team for the work they did to come up with what was really a saving of this building. They realized that it was an important structure in the history of our community. It needed to be saved, and I thank him and his team for doing that and for working with all to come up with this incredible timeline of our parks and the history of our community. So, Commissioner?
Thank you, Mark. I appreciate it. I'll just kind of expand upon what Mark said. This honestly started more than a decade ago. Quite frankly, Mark and I started having conversations about our rich history, and we never really had a location where we could tell our story. So when this opportunity came up, we thought, what a perfect opportunity to take one of the oldest stone structures in the city of Buffalo and turn it into our parks history, which is, as Mark said, about 100 years old today. So so many people to thank, obviously, Doug, Scott. I got to really put it out to Kate Hilliman, our previous Deputy Commissioner of Recreation. We had a vision, we had the funds, we could not make that vision happen and make this reality unless Kate's work on it. So I just really want to thank Kate for driving it home. She no longer works for Parks, but she says she's not leaving Parks until it's done. So today also is the last day she's working for Parks. But just it couldn't have asked for a better location, a park or a golf course that has a storied history to tell our story. So it's not the end, it's a ribbon cutting. We still have a lot of work to do, digital kiosk, park ranger-led programs, working with partner groups to utilize the space. But just an amazing job as you look around telling the history of our parks. One of the things when I came in as Commissioner of Parks, I would visit some of the areas and would find history all over. Shelves, books, here, there, and I'm like, it's not about today, it's about 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. This story needs to be told and preserved, and that's really what we work to do. I want to thank the county executive because whether it's Schenck House and the funding and the support to do this, or whether it's the Went Mansion, which is another story to be told, we are making those priorities to tell our story, to preserve our history, and that's extremely important. So thanks for everyone coming, and I'll turn it back over to Mark.
Thank you, Commissioner. The history of our community is great. The history of this community, of course, dates back many centuries before, truthfully, white men settled it. And we honor that history in Erie County through the Erie County Historical Commission, but we also have a Erie County historian who's worked many years now, Doug Kohler, to ensure that we preserve the history and we honor it by letting the public understand what they have here and what exists in this community before any of us set foot here or were born. So with that, I'd like to turn it over to our Erie County historian, Doug Kohler, to talk more about the history, not only of this building, but our park system, but of our community in general. Doug?
Thanks, Mark. Good morning. If you had seen this building in April of 2024, when we toured it, it was raining inside. We were missing stair treads, but there was a vision for preservation, conservation, and restoration for this house, and I think that's, it speaks volumes to the vision of the park system, of the county executive, that rather than the easy answer of knocking a building of this historic nature down, it was to build it up to a place where this history now lives, the history of the park system, but also the history of this house, which is, as we were talking about earlier, I wouldn't want to get into an arm wrestling match about which building is the oldest, but this has to be one of the three oldest in Western New York. It stands on the ground that provided the rock it's built from. It speaks to the history of emigration into Western New York, of diverse groups. In the 1820s, when the Schencks moved, they were Mennonites from Pennsylvania who came here after the Revolution looking for religious freedom of all things, and settled here as many other Mennonites did, in Amherst, on the edge of Buffalo, in Clarence, and in Newstead. It speaks to the history of the site, which is where the Buffalo, the county almshouse and poor farm were for years, not far from here. It speaks to the history of innovation. One of the first flights in the early 1900s took place on the Polo Ground here at the Country Club of Buffalo site. And it, of course, as we look around, speaks to the history of the parks. And it isn't, as Commissioner Schinzel said, an end, but it's really beginning for us to now take time to go through the archives of the parks, to pull them together, to organize them so that this isn't the only story we tell, but it's the first story we tell, that we can go on and begin to tell the story of the Parks Department, not only now, but for future generations. And this house is going to be an amazing launching point. So thank you to the county executive, to the commissioner, to Kate Hilliman for asking me to be a part of it. It's just an amazing success, and congratulations to all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Doug. As I said, this is, I guess, the last day, Kate, official in Parks, or maybe it was official before. But we also are joined by the new deputy, Nicole Roberto, so I want to thank her for being here. But I'll say a few words about the project.
Sure. Thank you, County Executive. So when I look around, certainly we're very proud of how far we have come. But I also think if these walls could talk, because the undertaking that was involved in and you'll see behind you some of the before and after pictures, in getting to this point was really significant. We really couldn't tell you how much and how many people really were involved in getting us to this point where the house is so beautiful and so beautifully restored. Yeah, I just want to echo what everybody else has said. This is just an incredible opportunity and a jumping off point for not only celebrating our history, but highlighting a lot of other groups, other contributions, other artistic endeavors that really can come together to celebrate and highlight our rich history in our parks. So just an incredible accomplishment I've been proud to be a part of. Thank you to this administration for supporting it. It really symbolizes our priorities and our values of preserving our rich assets in the Parks Department and in Western New York and in Erie County. So just a great accomplishment all around. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And thank you to Scott for the design. I asked him if he wanted to say a few words. He said no. But this is, as I said, it's not complete because there will be a few other things that will be added here about the history. We have artifacts actually in the possession of the Parks Department, which will occasionally be on display that haven't been on display in a long time. But I just want to thank everyone who made this a reality. Because it was not an easy project. As part of this project as well, there was a restoration of bathrooms that are exterior that are used by the golfers. So that was part of it as well. And it's just a good example of investing tax dollars, including the American Rescue Plan dollars, in something that had a proud history but was at risk, so that we could save it, not just for today, but that people in the future could use it. But then also individuals will learn about the proud past and the significant past that we have in Erie County in our Parks Department. With that, I'll open up to any questions if there are any.
How long did this project take?
I'll turn that over to Kate or Troy.
A couple of years, honestly, a couple of years. Between the budgeting, between going out to bid, hiring a vendor, the construction process. The construction ended last year, the project finished last year. And then last year, that's when Kate kind of took over in terms of what this space now looks like inside. So the construction project ended last fall completely. And then from fall to right now, almost 9-10 months into it, Kate transformed this in, working with Scott, working with Doug. Like I said, we don't do this without partners. And these are great partners behind me. So Kate led the charge with that. Just several meetings in types of what we wanted. Timeline was a big part of it. The Heritage Parks was the first kind of thing we wanted to see on the walls. It just made sense, being 100 years since those parcels were started being purchased. So it's been a process, a great process, and one that, again, thanks Kate for driving home. Any other questions?
If not, thanks. We can also show you the rest of the building if you want. There's an